Goodness, we are live with Grant Eilertson. OMG. I'm absolutely so stoked to have Grant here. If you don't know Grant, if you're just tuning in for the first time, for the last time, whatever time you're tuning in, Grant is the man. Okay, Grant Eilertson, he has been a coach, a sales professional, a mentor, a fitness trainer, an entrepreneur, business owner, business grower for the past. I think you've been in this space for how many years, Grant?
Coming up on 4 now.
For 4 years. And then everything before that uniquely qualified him to be in the position he was in. And I'm just so excited to have him here. He formerly was working for a really great company, Tribe of Buyers. And then before that, he had his own personal training business and coaching business. And now he's again moving into growing his own, is that correct? Your own business surrounding helping online fitness professionals and coaches to grow their business.
Yeah, man, I've got my hands in a lot of things, and I think you covered most of them, but it's always funny to hear it reflected back because I feel like it was just yesterday that I was on a sales call with my first ever mentor in the online coaching space at all. Like literally feel like it was yesterday, and what we've been able to accomplish in the past few years is just personally mind-blowing, and it's just a testament to what can happen when you go all in for yourself.
Oh, that's so juicy. Before we get to that, if you're on here live, go ahead and drop a hashtag Grant is good down below. Right there. Hashtag Grant is good down below. If you're here on the live or on the replay, it doesn't matter to me. Go ahead and drop it down because Grant, he's good. And before we get into your story, I just want to publicly, I was telling you this before, but I just want to publicly send you my gratitude and appreciation and acknowledge you for being a person who like has powerfully influenced people to take bold actions for their life and has had a total life change because of a conversation with you. And me personally, I remember I was on like a group coaching call, but everyone had kind of left. It was towards the end of the call, and you were promoting Tribe of Buyers Live at the time. And you like enroll, like I was like on the fence, like I wasn't sure if I was going to go, even though I was here in San Diego already. But you were like, dude, you have to go. We had a short conversation and I signed up right there. And then basically from that conversation and that like action of me getting that ticket for Tribe of Buyers Live, like everything in my universe has totally transformed. And I have been just able to like, I met like an amazing mentor there, a second amazing mentor. Actually, I met so many mentors and coaches there, and that I've gotten like training and knowledge from, and just like my business has transformed because of like that one conversation. So I just want to appreciate you publicly for that. I'm going to here. Yeah, we are. Okay, cool. We're good. We're live. Okay, sweet.
Well,
but
dude,
thank you, Grant.
So appreciate that, and I do receive it. So thank you for the acknowledgement. But like the just being able to hear that is so cool to me because it's a continual reminder that yeah, when you have the opportunity to enroll someone in a new possibility, you could change their life. But a lot of times we forget the implications 2, 3, 4, 5 steps down the road. You know, like you going to this event, but then meeting the people that you're now great friends with, that you use, you know, that are business associates, that are maybe just great friends, or just awesome people to have in your network that might not have happened from that if that interaction didn't occur. And like I was saying, same thing for me. Like all the people that I consider my best friends now, I would never have even met had I not frankly sacked up and made an investment that was pretty scary for me. And I credit that decision in a large part to the ability and the skill set that the salesperson had when he was enrolling me. And that's why I'm so passionate about helping other people to develop better sales processes that are more effective so they can enroll more of their ideal clients, get paid more, Sure, but be able to powerfully influence other people into being able to finally obtain their like deepest desires. Because it's generally just fear that stops us from getting what we want. You mentioned something when we first started about like maybe my former life qualifying me for what I do now. And I mean, maybe, but for transparency's sake, I am a community college dropout who failed Algebra 2 2 years in a row in high school until I learned how to program my graphing calculator so I wouldn't have to do the math anymore. I damn near had my power turned off in my first year of online coaching because I wasn't great at bringing people in to pay for what I had to offer. I have been through so many things that like could have been considered losses. But ultimately, the reason I'm where I'm at today and the reason why anyone successful has the success that they have is because they didn't stop. Ultimately, until you stop trying, you didn't lose. You just learned as long as you apply that and you continue forward. So, I mean, I'm nothing special in terms of where I came from.
Yeah, tell us a little bit more about that. Tell us a little bit more about like your journey. So you just told us like the very beginning, community college dropout, like weren't sure. So like what happened after that? Like how did you end up going from that to coaching with the lights almost being turned off to where you are now?
Well, I mean, I grew up really rich in love from my family, even though my parents were never together, like rich in love, don't get me wrong. And that played a huge impact, but in money, pretty damn poor. Top ramen and fat-free milk were the staples of my childhood. You know, those little 10-cent top ramens that you get in the big ass pack of Costco.
Yeah.
And so, you know, from an early age, like I wanted things that we just couldn't have. And when I realized that what stood in between me not having those things and being able to was money, I started thinking like, well, how does one do this? And so when I was in elementary school, man, I drew pictures and ran them through a photocopier for 10 cents a piece and sold them for $1. So I always had a bit of an entrepreneurial like spirit when I realized like, hey, money is fuel, and with fuel, you can go where you want to go. So from early high school, when I was 15, I started working in construction. I did that for a while, did wedding catering assistant work and a whole bunch of random things, working at grocery stores and stuff until I realized I needed a job where I was paid based on my performance, not just by the hour, right? And at the time, I'd gotten extremely into bodybuilding. And so I had a passion for the fitness space and pushing carts every day at night, going into the Albertson's cart bay. I noticed this GNC right next to it.
Okay.
And I went in there one day because I was like, this is a fitness space. I wonder if I could get a job. And I learned that they were salespeople on commission. And I was like, that's my mission. So I was 17 at the time, and they only hire 18-year-olds. But I went to Goodwill and I bought a nicer looking little blazer. And I went in there, didn't tell them my name, and shook hands and got the job with an interview there right before my 18th birthday. So
that's awesome.
I loved it because I got the opportunity to do something that felt like actually helping in a space I was passionate about, and my income wasn't capped. So naturally, I've got a really strong work ethic. I just busted ass. And within less than a year, I wasn't just a manager of my own store, but I actually was managing 2 stores at a time. So by the time I went to community college, I was in this like space where I could make money here. I wasn't getting what I thought I needed from school. And so the risk didn't outweigh the reward. You know, I was wasting a bunch of time putting miles on a car that would break down on me all the time. And it was super stressful. So I said, screw it, I'm just going to work. And so I did. And I did that all the way up until I basically capped out my earning potential there. And that was when I came across an ad for someone that said, I can make you a bunch of money if you want to be an online fitness coach. And thank God I actually clicked on that ad. Because that was a huge catalyst. Like I said, that sales call getting me into the online space in the first place.
Wow. Okay. That's like, what a story.
Yeah.
So it just goes to show it. I just want to bring this up again because you brought this up earlier and then right at the end you brought it up. just like that ad, you seeing that ad and clicking through and getting on that call and then like being enrolled into that program was the catalyst for a massive like life transformation. And so it's like every day that, and this is for everyone listening, like every day that you're out there and you're promoting your wares, like you want to do so obviously in an authentic way, but like you being bold and like putting yourself out there to like help other people could be the conversation, could be that moment that changes someone's life forever. And so that's like, and it's funny that you say that because I had a similar experience. Like I was served a YouTube ad, and he was like, yeah, you can make money online. Like you don't, and I was like, whoa, what's this? And that's like how and then like I didn't have a job at the time, but I had like $100 in my bank account. I spent all 100 of it buying this like little program, but that was like the catalyst for me like doing everything that I'm up to now. And I actually, side note, and then I want to get back to you, Grant, but side note, a couple weeks ago or a month or two ago, I actually met a guy who was probably responsible for running that ad. Like not the person whose ad it was, but like the media buyer. Shout out to Bailey Prue, who like probably was the person responsible for getting me like into online space. So that was pretty cool.
How cool, man. Yeah, it all came full circle for you.
Yeah. So now, okay, so you got into the online space and you obviously got better and better over time. Like what was kind of the turning point in your abilities? Like what skills turning point did you have before you like were like, oh wow, like this is like the space I want to live in for a long time?
Good question, man. Like I would be a lying son of a bitch if I said I got off that sales call, applied what they taught, and all of a sudden I was making, multiple six figures like was promised in the ads. That was not the case. Like I said, it was a really rocky start actually for about the next 6 months. And that's where things got really tough, and it really pushed me to the point where a lot of people might have quit. And so if you're watching right now and you're in a spot where maybe you're questioning your own capabilities because you've been in a vehicle that's just not getting you where you want to be, or you've made an investment in the past, you weren't ROI positive, and now maybe you're worried that like everything else in the future is going to be the same way. Just let this be maybe an inspiration for you to not quit and just keep going. Find a better coach. Don't stop. Because ultimately, again, you only lose when you quit. And I think that the universe is going to continually present lessons to you until you've learned them. And then there's going to be another lesson. And so the lesson for me was really the power of not quitting.
What is going on? Grant, are you still there?
I can hear you. I don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you. That's so weird. Where did you go?
Did I disappear on you?
Oh man.
Man. We're going audio only.
On audio only? Well, it's just me. Can you try refreshing your screen?
Yeah, one sec.
Okay. All right. If you're on here with us, then go ahead and coming on. If you're on here with us, we are on with Grant Eilertson. He just made a little disappearance so we could back on a little bit of commercial break here. And if you want to get in touch with him, you want to find out more, go to granteilertson.com. Scrolling across the bottom of the screen right now. And fantastic. He's back.
I had to pull a little Houdini on you. Guys, if you're curious what's at the site,
Yeah.
there's not a whole bunch of shit for sale or crazy sales funnels. There's actually a lot of great free sales trainings of some of the things that have made all the difference for me in becoming a multiple 7-figure producer in the online coaching space. I know before I disappeared, we were just talking about how things were not great, but you asked the question, what was the turning point for me? Well, so the interesting thing is I have always been knowledge hungry when I was passionate about something. And so I went through probably 15, 20 different sales books, bunch of marketing stuff, through that course that I had bought, 3-4 times, YouTube videos out the yin yang. So I had access to all these tools, but a tool is only as good as it's utilized. And so the biggest turning point for me was actually when my new coach at the time, his name's Ben Gower, did some really intensive internal work with me on my own relationship to myself in regards to self-love and self-worth. Because if you've never heard this, broke it down this way, your happiness level in life is largely going to be determined by your degree of self-love. The more you love yourself, the happier you'll be regardless of your circumstances. Where your net worth and the amount of money that you can create is largely determined by your self-worth and how valuable you're willing to see yourself. And personally, both of mine were really low. So I wasn't creating a whole lot of success and I wasn't very happy about it in the process. And it's interesting because maybe you've experienced a different balance where you've seen people that are, for example, like homeless, but living on the beach, just happy. This is like the hippie persona, right? Just happy about life, loving, giving, don't need anything. They're good. But because they don't view themselves as valuable, they don't really make any money. And then the opposite side is like the stereotypical, multi-million-dollar man who doesn't love himself, has no real meaningful personal relationships. And so he's depressed and the money can't solve it because it's got to be a balance of both. And so when I finally started doing internal work around that was when I hit my first big spike. And I was able to start doing $10,000, $15,000 a month in the fitness coaching business. And it was pretty cool. Brought on a couple employees, enjoyed it for a bit of time until I went through a process called ALA in San Diego. And without getting too into it, it's Ascension Leadership Academy. They go through a really intensive process over the course of a few months to basically break down our perception of ourselves and the stories we tell ourselves, kind of redefine who we are and get in touch with our authentic selves, and then actually solidify that with work out in the world with charities and giving back and a whole bunch of stuff. And through that, I realized my alignment is with transforming our world, bringing more financial freedom and impact to other people. It wasn't as much around the fitness as it was, I just love helping people. And I found myself more passionate about learning about sales than learning about hypertrophy in muscles. So I ended up actually shifting to go all in with what was aligned to me. And that was helping other businesses enroll more people into their programs. So I've sold for, I think, 7 different businesses now at this point, including an agency, and got just, a few $100,000 of sales under my belt over the course of a few months before starting to work with Tribe of Buyers, where I took them from 20 grand a month to well over 180 grand a month. We did 2 million last year while I was with them. And it's been a super cool ride. And the biggest lesson I shared, this story only to kind of prove you can go from absolutely scraping the bottom of the barrel to living great. And the key is to find out who you really are and do that on purpose instead of looking to someone else and thinking, oh, I want to emulate that. That just leads to what I call one step behind syndrome, where at best you might be as good as they were yesterday. But even still, if it's not aligned with you, the praise that you might get, the recognition, the accolades won't land because it's not landing with who you authentically are. But if you can go through a process of self-discovery to really get in touch with who you are, what matters to you, your values, and then do that on purpose, then you can far surpass what other people might be creating in a way that actually feels good for you. And that's, if I could share a lesson with everyone, I would love to hammer that in. It might not land for some, but for those that do, it could change their life. Like
so
it
let
did
me
for
make
me.
sure that, let me make sure that I heard you, because I think that that is so important. And I think exactly what you said was like a transformation for you. This is what I heard, is that when you discovered like your true self, you discovered what you truly cared about, and you discovered more of your relationship with yourself and with your value, with your aligned vision. That's when you were able to like go all in on that, all in on being you. Who would have known, but that would be such a good thing to do. But that was what was like the major turning point. Is that what you're saying? Because so I
100%.
100% resonate with that, because when I was working with Frank Simmerhansel, that's like exactly what we got in touch with. Like he helped me more than other programs. And like before then, I had taken I've been to Landmark, which is like a similar stuff to ALA. I think we had this conversation before. But when I was working like one-on-one with someone who was like is a master at just like helping people to reveal their inner vision and make a super clear vision for themselves, which Frank is, like that was so powerful for me, and it just allowed me to be more of myself. And I had that syndrome that you're talking about, like there was always somebody that was doing like one thing ahead of me, which is great. And it wasn't like I was like, what am I missing? Like I was like, I'm missing something. There's like something that's not right. And then once I found that like alignment, everything just like opened up, felt unleashed. So
to speak to that specific event, like from a third party perspective, I noticed a massive shift in your energy when all of a sudden I started getting voice messages from you where you were singing what you wanted to say. And I was like, this guy's tapped into who he really is, and it's fucking powerful. And would I be aligned with sending people singing voice messages? No. But because it's actually you, it resonates, it lands, and it's so fun to see people actually comfortable in their own skin, especially in an online setting. I mean, there's so many people that put on this almost like an online mask, like this is who I am on social media, this is who I am off social media. And it's what's called persona fatigue. Persona fatigue is when you spend so much time, energy trying to come across in a certain way, it ends up depleting your energy sources because you're out of alignment with who you are at your core. Persona fatigue. I want to nail that in. And this is something that a ton of salespeople in particular struggle from, thinking that they have to be, the next Grant Cardone or the next Jordan Belfort, for example, on the phones, when you don't. And trying to emulate that is what will lead to burnout and way lower performance than you're truly capable of.
I think I lost you there, Grant. You still with us? Let's see. All right, Grant, are you with us? Maybe not. Let's see here.
Entire relationship. That's just not worth it, man. Life's too short.
Yeah, I think you cut out there for a couple seconds, but I understand. Give it to us again, Grant. Give it to us again. We need to hear about this. Persona. Oh no, now his video's gone again. What is happening? No one will ever know. Let's see. Are you still there, Grant? Oh, here we go.
We're really making them work for this one.
That's it. Yeah, I mean, really, if you're watching right now, go ahead and drop a hashtag Grant is good. Hashtag Grant Eilertson. Whatever you
Oh
want.
man,
Hashtag fun.
we're making you guys work for it, sticking through all these commercial breaks. You thought you were watching on a completely free network. Nope, you got to pay for it, apparently.
That's apparently the case. Oh my goodness. Well, I'm glad you're back again. Oh, it's been so long since you were here. Those couple seconds were just too long for me. Well, I just want to take some deep breaths. I want to get re back into this. Will you take a deep breath with me? And if you're watching out there, just remember at any point, you can just get into your breath. And this is just a perfect example of who I am. It's just like, I like taking deep breaths. I like relaxing. I like having fun. And for a single moment, I got a little stressed out. And I was like, you know what? You can call it out. Let's just take a deep breath. I got to recenter myself. Now we can get back into it powerfully. I want to make a little bit of a transition here to talk a little bit more about sales and enrollment, because you are a proven master. And I want to hear about, I guess, okay, so two things that I know some of my audience will like to hear about is I have a lot of people that I'm like becoming friends with in my network who are salespeople that don't have gigs yet. Like they're trying to get work. They're trying to find a coach or they're trying to find a consultant or an agency to work for. And I want to hear your take on like, how do you go about just like finding these relationships to start working for people? Because you obviously have done it, with those few companies that you worked for before Tribe Buyers, and then also Tribe Buyers. I want to hear kind of your process of how do you find these gigs? How do you make connections with people in this way?
This is a good question. Most of the interviews that I do, and if you want to see more of them where it's more specifically sales training focused, go to granteilertson.com. There's a ton of great stuff on there. But I don't ever really talk about this. So this is exclusive to your interview. The biggest thing for finding a great gig is actually knowing your own personal value system. Like, what are you on this earth to cause and create? I know it sounds a little woo-woo, but it's going to be integral. And for me, I mean, I wear around my neck these 3 intent bands. Say authentic, loving, committed. Because it's who I intend to live as every day, and it's my constant reminder. Those are some of my strongest values. And then I wear a couple on my wrist as well for impact and freedom. I also have one that's normally on there that says legacy, but the band broke, so I got to fix it. But that said, I'm really clear about who I intend to be and what I intend to cause and create in the world. And so it's really simple for me to find alignment with the right gigs or the right opportunities because I know who I am. And so when I started working with Andrew at Tribe of Buyers, it was because what I viewed him as was extremely committed. He showed up as authentic, and the way that he cared for his clients showed love. And he was in the business to help other people create freedom, to help other people create money and create impact. So our value systems were super aligned. And when you're aligned with someone else's value systems, you don't need a bunch of crazy strategies or tactics in order to create a connection. You just got to be yourself and you'll be magnetically drawn towards each other. But if you don't know your value system, you don't have a guiding compass. So this is why it's super important to have your own value system as well as a value system for your company too. Because if Andrew didn't have that outlined, I wouldn't have known. I wouldn't have connected with him. Same thing with a whole bunch of other businesses that I've been blessed to be a part of. And I only work with things that inspire me. So don't settle for just money. Do something that inspires you and the money will follow, provided there's a good system set up there. And we don't really have the time and space to talk about like deal structuring and stuff. It's really important. But that said, Look, what most people aren't willing to do is work, to be plain and simple. A lot of guys that are in the sales space want to be sat and fed leads. Well, if that's the case, if you're sitting waiting to be fed, you're going to keep sitting and waiting. Something that I did with a couple businesses was like, hey, I've seen your products, I've seen reviews, you're doing an incredible job. I love what you're up to. Do you have the capacity to handle 10 more clients a month? Just as an example. Do you have the capacity to handle 10 more clients a month? Well, yeah, we definitely do. It's like, cool. Well, what I do is close deals. And I'm not asking for you to send me call bookings. I'd love to show you my own capabilities by putting 10 new clients into your business this next month with leads that you consider dead. So ask them for their old survey applications, for example, that never booked a call or never showed, that no one's following up with, and go start calling the people and build relationships and see what you can do to connect people with that business so they become paying clients, because that's your job as a salesperson. And if you can put clients into their business before they've even technically hired you, you know damn straight it's your job. They're going to give it to you. So even before I started working with Andrew, I actually signed up a couple people for his group growth and monetization blueprint because I loved what he was doing. And I was like, I think that you would really benefit from his thing. I'm not affiliated, but I do have some information about it. Are you open for a chat? And so I enrolled some people into it. So it was a no-brainer for him to go, yeah, sure, I'll send you some even better leads and see what we can do. So biggest advice is know your value system and be willing to hustle to prove your worth if you don't already have the street cred. Like, yeah, now I'm blessed that I have people in my inbox left and right that would love for me to sell for them. I just don't have the capacity nor the desire to have a bunch of those spinning plates. Yeah. And you can get there once you've proven yourself. But if you don't have a gig right now that you're building creds with, go out there and be like a creative deal maker. Find a solution, find someone with a problem that solution could, could help with, and connect them. Start making referrals to the business if they have a sales rep, for example. Like, just be proactive and the job will fall into your lap.
That is so juicy. Because this is what I'm seeing with a lot of people is like they'll find people who are looking for a closer. They're looking for like a salesperson. And then, they'll apply, they'll wait, they'll get like a really, in my opinion, like a janky deal because like they're super desperate to get a gig of any sort. And then like it just ends up being this like really like it's super extended. And then like a few weeks later, I'm like, hey, how are you? Because I'm just catching up with them. They're like, oh yeah, I left that job because it wasn't really the right thing for me. And so I love this approach that you're putting forth is that find the actual businesses that you want to work for and then just start working for them before they hire you. Yeah. And that's the greatest part about being a professional salesperson or being someone that's a master of enrollment. And I want to talk about like that distinction a little bit in a second, but like just go and start enrolling people into those programs. And then all of a sudden, like, they're like, where'd these sales come from? And you're like, oh, that was me. Oh, and then they're like, oh yeah, like, wait, do you have more leads or like, do you want to close more deals for us and make more commission? And then it's like, oh yeah, I would love to do that. Right. And that just like feels good. It makes a lot more sense than, because I think to your point about earlier, like trading time for money, like a salesperson, that's not a time for money job. And so to say like, yeah, I'm going to work 8 hours a day, like setting appointments and doing this and doing that, like it just doesn't work that way. So I think that's such good advice. So thank you for sharing that.
It's pretty much the same advice I would give to anyone. If you want to do something, just fucking start and the pieces will fall into place. Like so many businesses have referral programs already too. You don't even have to be as like creative as I've been, if someone has a referral program and you say, hey, curious, Michael, do you have a referral program? I'd love to send some business your way. And you get a link and you can, sign people up over the course of doing your own content, reaching out to people, making connections. Oh my God, it's easy as cake. And I would much rather do that, because then you've got leverage.
Yeah.
You've got leverage. You've proven hey, I can close deals with no support from you. If you're going to send me leads, here are my terms. This is what I would like. I like to have some leverage in the game.
It's all about leverage. That's what I've been learning myself. It's just you have to leverage. The more value that you can bring, which means the more value that you can believe in yourself and you can find in yourself, the more value you can bring to a business, the more value you can bring to another person, then just the exchange of things just works in your favor. And it works in everyone's favor, really. But yeah.
Amen. So I'd love to give the opportunity for those of you watching, if you have any selfish questions around sales, around organic marketing, around basically my skill sets. I've worked with a few thousand people now at this point in the online coaching space to help them develop better sales systems, organic marketing, essentially to close more deals. Go ahead, ask your selfish questions. Same for you, Michael. I'm really just here to play full out and be authentic. Anything else that's on the top of your mind where you're wonder if I can extract something from Mr. Grant's brain?
Yeah. Is there something that I can extract? Well, I really want to know. I want to know what. I'm not sure how to phrase it. I'm not even sure if I have a good question, but for myself, a selfish question, Grant, what are you doing on Tuesday? No, I'm just kidding. Let's see. A selfish question. What is really, I want to know what your 5 years looks like, the next or the next year. I want to know details of this new business that you're building. I want to know what business model you're using and what marketing method that you're dude, this is 100% what I'm gonna do. I just want to. That's what I want to know. I want to know those details.
Yeah. What kind of future projections does Grant have for himself? So good question. I've had a few irons in the fire for a bit. What I have going on right now is with a business called High Impact Coach that I started with my mentor a couple of years ago. And I've been helping him throughout the process, but now I've had the chance to go a lot more energetically in. Just finished building out all the new sales systems for the company so that it has the capacity to scale to 100,000 a month next month. And then we plan on doing about 200 grand a month consistently by the end of this year timeframe. And I love it because I've never seen a business more dedicated to their clients' success. I mean, the support systems are above and beyond for anyone in the fitness space, personal trainers online, helping them build a full-time income. It's epic. So I love that I'm super aligned with that. That's going to keep growing. Also have my hands in a peer-to-peer lacrosse stringing service. Think about it like Uber, but for lacrosse players.
I think I know. I think I know the founder. I think I met him at Travel Buyers Live.
Bingo. He's my childhood best friend. We played lacrosse together all the way up through school before he went to college and I stayed in the hometown. And so I actually partnered with him a couple months ago to build that. So if you're a lacrosse player, you know one, it's changing the game, connecting professional stringers with players and parents. And it's super cool because the whole mission is to grow the game. So helping him scale that up there, it's exciting. I've also got the finance group that I'm working on because a huge problem that I've seen in the online coaching space, and transparently, even with some businesses that are doing well over $1 million a year, is people have no fucking clue what to do after they make money. Myself was included too, because as my income would continue going up and up and up, I would basically start every month again over at zero because the money just leaked. It went all over the place and not really towards anything stable to build a future. And so I ended up creating a finance group to discuss exactly what to do after you've made money. It's called Financial Finessing for Financial Freedom. And I bring in industry experts from all over different categories of the financial space to talk about everything from credit hacking to be able to travel the world for free, how to pay as little as possible in taxes, remote real estate investing, credit repair, all sorts of cool things so that you can actually get financially ahead. And I love that. I'm continuing to grow that as a passion project. We've just now gotten to be a little over 500 people in that community this past week. So really excited about that. Woo. And other than that, I do a couple sporadic VIP days with people each month, working specifically on developing sales systems so that they can double their revenue. And I love that, but my capacity is really tight on that because it's just for fun. So over the next year, that's what I'm working on. Pulled out a couple new permanent life insurance policies to do some wealth protection and compounding. And then by the end of the year, I'll have property number 1 under management so that I'm building up that passive real estate cash flow as well. So that's kind of my next year. I had planned right now to be traveling Europe because since May of 2019, I actually sold all of my stuff outside of my backpack and my suitcase. I sold everything or donated it or just threw it away and had been traveling full time up until Corona hit and had planned to be in Europe right now. So crossing fingers, drop some finger crossed emojis down below that we can get back to traveling because I've got a couple thousand in flight credits that I'd love to be able to use.
Yeah, that would be nice. That would be nice to use those.
Yeah, 100%.
We do. Thanks for sharing that, Grant. We do have a question here. What are the fundamentals of sales? How do you get started?
I'll actually send you a link, Michael, to the speech that I did at Tribe of Buyers Live that breaks down all the core fundamentals of sales from the ground up. And it's going to be way more in-depth and actionable than what I could speak to here. But to give you a taste, most people struggle with sales because they're inwardly focused, thinking about either themselves, their own needs, their own wallet, their own money beliefs, their own program, the tangibles, instead of thinking of someone else. And at the end of the day, an effective salesperson is going to be someone that is able to fully see and understand someone else to the capacity that they feel fully understood, at which point they'll be willing to trust your guidance. And it's done not through telling them all about why they need to do something now, why they should do it with you, why it's important, what they need to do, what pain they're in, why they can't do it on their own. It's not up to you to tell them all those things. Sales is more of a formulaic art form where the whole intention is to ask strategic questions to guide someone emotionally down the pathway of making their own empowered decision that's in alignment with everyone's best interest. So keep in the back of your mind, selling is not telling. There's no magic word track that you can spit at someone that's going to hypnotize them into giving you money. So if you're not a people person, if you don't genuinely love having conversations with people, I'd say sales is not going to be your thing, just to be fully upfront. But if you love meeting new people, you thrive on variety, and variety and growth are two of your core driving values, then sales is an incredible place to be because you're going to build lifelong epic relationships with people that you sell or you don't sell, because you get to know people's life stories if you're good. And you're going to continually be growing because with no income ceiling, you're going to continue wanting more and more and more. And on the flip side of the growth, sales is incredibly triggering. It's one of the only professions that will bring up every single one of your trigger points over the course of time, and to give you the opportunity to either get pissed off, burn out, and quit, or grow through them. Like the fear of rejection, the fear of, that's the biggest one, is the fear of rejection. Also the fear of success. Your own perception as to how people should respect you. Like all sorts of stories that we have are going to be incredibly triggered by being in sales. And it's a great space to be if you're committed to personal transformation, because it's continually going to give you opportunities to grow as a person. And that's why I think that career salespeople end up being some of the smartest or maybe wisest people in the world, because they just have the broadest opportunity to collect experiences and get triggered and move through it. It's also one of the highest industries for people quitting or burning out or getting depressed, because every time something that you perceive as negative happens to you, you have a choice to either use it as a lesson or to quit. And again, like we talked about at the start of the interview, if you are always learning, you'll never lose. But as soon as you quit, game over. You're done.
Wow. Yeah, that's such a powerful lesson right in there. It's like every time that this can go for this feels like it could go for everything. Like any time that you face rejection or a challenge, or your own personal beliefs are challenged, or just like any time that something comes up internally during sales conversations, during life conversations, like as an opportunity to either quit or learn. Are those the two options?
Yep. Because ultimately, maybe you got this framework from Landmark, like life, these experiences, events that happen are neutral. They're energetically neutral. There is no meaning, but humans are incredible meaning-making machines. That's just what we do. We label everything. We put up boxes. We say this is this and that's that, and then this is not that and that is not this. So we're always in a process of creating stories. And so inevitably, things are going to happen to you. And based on the story you tell yourself, that'll determine your belief system. And your belief system then determines your patterns of operation. And those patterns of operation dictate your results. So if I don't have the results that I want, I need to look at my patterns of operation and why they're not congruent with the results that I want to get. And then instead of just changing those patterns of operation and being out of alignment with our belief system, it's actually better, instead of faking it, to go back and say, okay, what beliefs do I hold that lead towards me existing in these patterns of operation? And of course, beliefs are not easy to change, but the stories we tell ourselves and how we frame what we're thinking about are totally malleable. That's neuroplasticity. And so if you can tell yourself a different story about the neutral event that happened, and that alters your belief system to be able to be more empowered, more confident, more trusting, loving, giving, compassionate, committed. And those patterns of operation then dictate much better results. And so sales, again, it's just like there's a ton of events that are going to happen. People are going to no-show. People are going to show up with no intent to buy. People are going to be tire kickers. People are going to say yes and ghost on you. People are going to everything is going to happen. And so you either get to use that to learn or just as an excuse to quit.
Yeah. So inside of there, I want to get more like a little bit more tangible with that. Could you give an example of like, okay, event happened, natural tendency or like old belief tendency would be to think this about it. And then like, what do you do from there?
Here you go. So when I was like probably 6, it took me a while to unpack and figure out where this came from, but hindsight's 2020. So when I was like 6, I was at a pool at my grandparents' RV park, and I was just a smiling, happy-go-lucky kid. Mm-hmm. And so I'm just naturally like happy. I'm in a freaking pool in summer. And this little girl looks at me with like this disdain in her eyes, was my perception. Why are you smiling? And I felt that I was wrong to have been doing that. And that rejection in a happy state, I told myself the story that in order to be accepted, that I had to have a problem going on. I had to be upset, or I just couldn't be exuberant. And so that was a story I told myself. The belief was, to get love, I can't be perfect. There has to be something wrong. And so that belief system then dictated my subconscious patterns of operation. I would create success, for example, in one area of life, like I'd have a $15,000 month. Then my relationship would break down because there has to be something wrong in order for me to feel okay, in order to feel accepted.
Wow.
Or I would go all in and start like crushing it on sales calls, but everything can't be hunky-dory, so I would self-sabotage by just not getting back to people's messages where I could have gotten them on the phone for a call in the first place. And that gave me the opportunity to prove that belief to be true. So naturally, my results were like this, because I would have highs and then I would inevitably have to like subconsciously force myself to have lows. But I went back through, actually, this was one of the things that just happened to come out through ALA. And I realized, like, you know what? We're all different fucking people. We all got shit going on in our lives. And her experience of me did not need to dictate the way that I went forward. And so instead of telling myself the story of I'm not accepted because I was doing this, it then was, wow, she was not happy and something must have happened to her. And I have compassion for that. And so from that space, from thinking, wow, if she is having a negative experience, instead of me taking it personally, I can have compassion for that, which now helps me to create a belief system of when someone's struggling, when someone is acting out, when someone is projecting onto you, instead of taking it personally, have compassion, because that could make all the difference for that person. So with that belief system, my patterns of operation, now someone's like, nope, don't want that, don't need another sales pitch, some shit about like that, right? And it's like, wow, this person must have been treated really poorly in the past for this to be how they perceive this interaction to be. So I'm going to be compassionate and come from a space of totally understand. If I were in your position, I might even think the same way. Are you open to the possibility of maybe this being a little different? So being able, like I was talking about, to determine the event that caused the story, that caused the belief system, that dictate your patterns of operation to get your results, it's huge. So look at your results. If they're not what you want, work your way back in that system. Did that make sense, or was that just like too esoteric?
It made sense to me. I understand it. I'll try and break it down real quick again. It's basically the girl, she gave you a look, she gave you a dirty look, and when you were young, you took it as, oh, like me having fun, it upsets other people, so I can't be loved unless I'm not having fun. Something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
And then basically that just grew into a giant tree in your life, that there always had to be something that was wrong. There always had to be some kind of relationship or something that I was causing to be bad by having success or having joy.
Yeah. And the worst part is that it's not a conscious belief. It's just a subconscious operating system. So it just happens. And then we get pissed off at the surface level results like, God, why can't I do this? But when you take some time and you really reflect and you realize, well, I'm doing this, like in life, you get exactly what you want, whether you know it or not. Mm-hmm. And if there's a subconscious belief that you don't deserve it, you're not worthy, you don't have the skill set, you're going to find evidence to back that story up. But if you can shift that and say, I'm all powerful, I am abundant, money comes to me effortlessly from new opportunities, both seen and unseen. I'm so blessed to have people in my life that I can be compassionate with and support them. When you tell yourself these stories or affirmations, like the money meditation track that you can find on YouTube, if you just type in Grant Eilertson money meditation, If you start telling yourself those stories enough, you train your reticular activating system to be aware of the evidence that's going to back up this new empowering story. And ultimately, since we can choose the stories we tell ourselves, which means we can choose our beliefs, why the hell not choose an empowering one? Why would you ever subject yourself to something less than what you want? You don't have to.
Yeah.
I get riled up about that.
Yeah. Well, it's a really good, it's like that's the underlying seed of all of it. Is that your belief systems need to be in line with what you want your results to be.
Bingo. Dude, I could jam out on this stuff all day. I have a call I have to be on in 4 minutes, but this has been so fun, man.
This has been super fun. Thank you so much for being here. I'll let you get off of here. I'm going to stop the live. Everyone that's out there, rewatch this again. Take out the golden nuggets. Do some introspection. Find your true beliefs. Find your true values. Find your true alignment, and move towards that so you can be the biggest contribution that you can be for the world. And I'm going to stop the live. Thank you all so much for being here. Grant Eilertson, right?